How about we do an Acerglyn, eh? Alright, so as you probably can tell, there was a problem with the camera. I need to get a new camera, a new sound system, but it didn't record the audio, so I'm having to go over everything that we discussed here. So that's the reason why the words I'm speaking do not match the lips on this video. But simply put, this video is about Hydra Ace. So Ace is using our Hydra series. The Hydra is the mythological creature that I used to base this program off of. And simply put, the Hydra Ace is an Acerglyn Hydromel. So I used the original Hydromel recipe to be the mother to create other hydromels, and so in this case I used maple syrup, which that makes an Acerglyn, and I brewed maple syrup with honey. And so in this video you'll see maple syrup mead, which is called an Acerglyn. It's low ABV, so it's a hydromel. You'll see that in how I do it. What's unique about this is the fact that because I am Southern, maple flavoring is not a flavor that you find common in the South, and so it's very polarizing. And people either love it or they hate it. In my case, I'm kind of ambivalent about it. There's some things I will do in it and some things I won't. But this brew is so iconic, I thought that bared being something to try in this series. So sit back, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, share this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll show you how this mead is done. And then after that, then I'll come back and I'll do a tasting, and of course you'll see I'll be doing the voiceover again. Okay, so this is our Hydra Ace. Acerglyn is made with maple syrup. This is Carrie's maple syrup, 8 ounces. And so I'm going to be adding that in with about, I'd say, a quarter of a gallon, not even quarter of a gallon, about 1/8 of a gallon of water. Just a little bit of water to loosen it up. I'll be using a pound of Gallberry honey as well. And so right now I'm going to go ahead and add in this honey. Honey's of course not a natural flavoring agent in Southern cooking, so this is a little bit hard to procure, and it's very polarizing in Southern communities, so you either love it or you hate it. And so what's going to happen is once I pour it in, I'll pour this in, pour in the honey, I'll shake it up, and then we'll add in our hydromel. So right about now I'll be taking this and pouring in the syrup. It's very loose compared to honey, very thin, and you see the difference there. Here's the honey, very thick, and then I'm going to just kind of spare you the rest of this. We'll just let this go through the funnel. I'll rinse out the jar and then pour all that in there. I'll cap it off, shake it up, and then we'll be done there. Well, I knew that this was going to be a little higher than my other ones. It has a starting gravity of 1.050. Now you also have to take into account there's anywhere between 2 and 2.5% alcohol being added by the mother, the hydromel. So when this ferments out, it's going to be a strong beer, what some parts of the world consider to be a strong beer. So at any rate, it's not that much more what we've been doing. Most people wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It's going to have a little bit more of a kick. I'm interested because Acerglyns have a negative reputation in some mead circles for the flavors. And since I'm using Gallberry honey, I'm thinking that is going to tame down some of those negative notes that you can get from a Acerglyn and make it more something that people would associate with a quality hydromel. So next thing we'll do is put the airlock on. As always, my airlock is nothing more than a toy balloon with some rubber bands and a sterilized toothpick run through the tip a few times. So now we'll just let this sit for about 2 weeks, more or less. I'll cold rack it, what some people call cold crashing, then bring it back up to room temp, and then we'll go to the next step. See you then. This is the Hydra Ace. We brewed this on 8/7/2022. Has a original gravity of 1.050. It finished out, I would say, sometime last week. And today is the 22nd of August. So it finished out right on track with what it should have done. I just have been so busy. I mean, I'm supposed to do 7 videos and I'm fixing to have to leave out. It'll probably be 1 in the morning before I get done finishing all my videos today. So it's been nuts. First thing we'll want to do is take a gravity reading. I use a turkey baster as my wine thief. You just depress it and suck in. This is a horrible turkey baster. I want to get a better turkey baster. Then just filling up my tube. I would love to get one that has a little bigger bulb to take in more liquid. Right now, trying to find a turkey baster is near impossible, and what you get online you can't really compare, see what it looks like or anything of that nature. And turkey basters are running anywhere from, I didn't mean to oxygenate that brew, but I did, unfortunately, because I wasn't paying attention. But they're running anywhere from $2 to $20, and without you being able to put your hands on it, you really don't know what you're getting. I think most of the ones that I've seen most of the YouTubers using run about $9. Alright, so that's floating. That can't be right. There's no way this is right. This is saying that there is a finishing gravity of 1.024. This cannot be right. So we got to make some decisions here. Obviously, this is not going to work. This is why we take gravities. It should be 1.000. Should not be less. I wonder if I've got yeast strain. I've been talking about yeast strain now in a few of my videos, and this may be yeast strain. So what I have here is a tablespoon of basically yeast water. it was a quarter of a teaspoon of yeast to a half cup of water. I've been using this in my videos to kind of charge up the yeast when I was doing my carbonation. But this right here, I think it's stalled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a balloon on this and put it back and see if it goes back through the fermentation process. If it don't go through the fermentation process, I'm going to have to do some investigation, because as far as I know, Acerglyns, which are just nothing more than maple syrup and honey, should not have unfermentable sugars. So we'll find out what's going on there. Alright, today is September 10th. Life got in the way. There was also some issues with this brew, if I remember right, about it not being totally fermented out. Took forever for it to ferment. Once it kicked back up, it didn't want to. It's such a low ABV, and the residual sugars were so low, but it took forever to get it going. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the airlock off. We're going to do a hydrometer reading and see where we're at now. So this is at 0.996, almost 998. So what we're going to do is consider this to be done, and we're going to get a taste, back sweeten, acid adjust, do all the good stuff that we normally do. Actually, I got ahead of myself. First thing we got to do is siphon this off. So let me siphon it. I'm not going to show you that, but basically I use an auto siphon, and then this has to be higher than the vessel I'm putting it in, and from there we'll transfer the liquid over, and then we'll do all the adjusting. Okay, so I've taken a sample of this. And by the way, everything I've used has been sanitized in a 30% bleach solution. So just use regular household bleach. Don't get the non-splash or the concentrate or any of that. I found that they don't work as well. Just use regular bleach. If in doubt, just get Clorox brand regular. Because some of these off-brands, like the Walmart bleach, I tried that. I actually bleached a green stock and it was still green, so it had no bleaching action whatsoever. It was useless. So a lot of these off-brand bleaches do not work. But anyway, everything's been sanitized. I'm trying this right now. I have a little cup here that I'm just tasting and doing my adjustments with. Right now, got a good flavor. There's a little bit of acid. I know I didn't do any acid, but there's a little bit of acid. I don't know if I'm going to do any tannin adjustment. I mean, you're supposed to do tannin adjustments if it's needed at least a day before, if not longer, because it can cause sediment to come out when you bottle. And I'm just in a crunch. I mean, you hear a beeping in the background. That's my wife. She has a booming shirt business. She imprints shirts, she does mugs, things of that nature. So, I mean, she's got to work, I got to work. We're in a shared space. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm probably going to sweeten this first. There is a run on erythritol. So I can't even get this anymore, this whole earth. That was the cheapest. I had to find something from, the cheapest I found was from Micro Ingredients. So evidently the Ukrainian-Russian conflict is causing a rush on corn, And so erythritol prices have quadrupled, and you can't get erythritol now. And if you do, you're going to pay a pretty penny. And so I paid a pretty penny, unfortunately. So let's try a little bit of erythritol and see how this tastes compared to what we got now. So this is 3 tablespoons right here. What I'm going to do is stir this up and we'll see how this works. Okay, I'm going to take a small sample and see how this tastes after I've stirred it in for a while. It's cold, so it's not going to stir in quite the best in the world. It'd help if I had brought it to room temp, but again, time is of the essence with everything going on in my life right now. Yeah, still need more erythritol adjustment. It's actually got more sour as I've added erythritol, which is funny. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and add some more and see what happens. I'm going to add 3 more tablespoons for a total of 6 tablespoons and see how that works. In between tastings, I always get me a sip of water. That's important so that you cleanse your palate a little bit so that you know what you're tasting. Wow, that acid is kicking. I'm going to do, that was 6 tablespoons. I'm going to do 6 more tablespoons because it is not any sweeter. Alright, so I'm adding in 6 more tablespoons, but what's neat is I had to switch over to this new brand that I've got, and I'll pour this in there. This is the brand, Micro Ingredients Erythritol. It's a 6-pound bag, and in the 6-pound bag, they include a tablespoon scoop, which is so neat. So I'm very happy about that because I've got my own dedicated scoop for this now. So now I'm going to stir this up and let's see how this tastes. Okay, I did a taste of this and I have to say I think it needs another 6 tablespoons of erythritol. So that would be, I've already done 12. That's 18 tablespoons, and it's just the sourness of it is just going nuts. So it's like very acidic. I don't know where the acid came from because I didn't put any acid in it. But it is very acidic. There is no maple flavor at all. So let's see what happens. Wow, this thing is not wanting to sweeten up at all. It's taking every bit of the erythritol and just laughing at it. And it seems to be getting more and more acidic each time I add erythritol to it. It's like, I don't know, it's just sour and not changing like it should. I'm going to add 6 more tablespoons to this. So we already had 18. So this is going to be 24. 24 tablespoons. Alright, so let's see how this works. So there's 16 tablespoons in a cup. US cup, and we have put in 24, so that means roughly 1.5 cups or 1.5 cups of erythritol has been used. Now you got to remember, erythritol is not as sweet as sugar, so for every cup of sugar that you're wanting to replace, you have to replace it with 1 1/3 cup. So this would be the equivalent of adding almost a heaping cup of sugar in here. So, I mean, that's crazy. That's 1 1/2 cups. Just nuts. Let's see how this tastes and we'll go from there. Something to make note of, I have noticed roughly about a tablespoon of this is not wanting to dissolve into solution. So we got that issue too that we're dealing with. I'm going to continue stirring now. I've stirred for probably, I don't know, about 5 minutes. And this is not wanting to incorporate anymore. So whatever's happening chemically, either it's too cold or maybe there's a saturation point I don't know about, or maybe it's a difference in the erythritol. That's something else. I've noticed based off of brands, the erythritol quality varies dramatically. So it could be something with the producer, their quality is different than somebody else's quality. I don't know. But yeah, I'm getting roughly about a tablespoon that will not go into solution. And I just swirled this to show you, see that white spot down there, that light spot? That's undissolved erythritol. So, I mean, I've got this, I'm continuing this, so I'm going to continue on. Okay, this is now getting about to where it needs to be. Weird, got a weird flavor. It's had that cusp, got a strange flavor. I'm going to add 6 more tablespoons. So that's going to be 30 tablespoons. Okay, again, we've got stuff that's not dissolving fully, but let's give it a try. Got a weird flavor. I think this is just going to have a weird flavor. It's just strange. I think it needs 6 more tablespoons. So that's 36 tablespoons that we're putting in here. So that's over 2 cups. Wow. Let's do it. Alright, so now I've been stirring now for at least 10 minutes and I've got about 2 tablespoons full of sediment still. I'll stir this like this real quick and you can see it forming before your eyes in the center of that vortex. You can see on camera that whitish spot. So I'm going to give this a taste and see how this goes. That we need to do. Now that's good. Got a little bit of an acid kick. I've heard so many horror stories about Acerglyn. This is an Acerglyn hydromel, so that only compounds things. But that's actually good. I was starting to get concerned. You know, I know a lot of people that they drink dry drinks. And one home brewer, they have a YouTube show and they say that sweet drinks taste of headaches. And I guess, you know, if you was partying when you was younger and all that, maybe you had some bad experiences because young people don't drink quality stuff. They drink what they can afford. And also, there's stupidity that comes with youth because you don't have the experience. And you don't want to listen. I know that was my problem when I was young. But there's something to be said for adding sweetness to something. Sweetness can add flavors that you wouldn't have in a beverage otherwise. So there's flavors coming out now that I wasn't tasting when it was dry. And even semi-dry. This is just a little bit past semi-sweet and into sweet. So I think I'm going to go to the next step now. Okay, so this Acerglyn has had problems fermenting now for a while. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add in a half tablespoon of sugar, because I'm also been having a problem with my brews not being carbonated good enough. So then I've been worried about yeast fatigue. So what I'm doing is, this is Red Star Premier Blanc. And I'm going to take just I'd say maybe a quarter to an eighth, or eighth to a quarter teaspoon, and put that in here. This is a champagne yeast, and so champagne yeast will not produce the sediment like bread yeast will, and champagne yeast will chew through sugars very quickly. And I'm wondering if maybe carbonating with champagne yeast might be the trick that I need to do, because we're using a bread yeast base. So it's been doing good, but it's showing signs of fatigue. So what I'm going to do is stir this and let it sit for a little bit, and then we'll bottle. And once we bottle, I'll show you that. But right now I just kind of want to let this get incorporated. You can see it's all stirred up in there, but I want it to be more homogenized than what it is now. Give that yeast time to start getting in there, find some of that sugar, start eating on that, and then we'll bottle. Alright, so we got 9 full bottles here. These green, these are beer bottles. Grolsch, I think is how you pronounce it. I've said it before, they were cheaper to buy the beer and get the bottles from them, but after tasting beer, I think it came out better if I just bought the bottles. That's garbage beer. However, this also holds a little bit more than what these bottles hold, so I think these are like 16-ounce bottles. But anyway, now I'm going to add in some carbonation drops. Carbonation drop is just a measured out tablet of sugar. I've already added in a half tablespoon of sugar into this, and so that will just give a little extra fizz. Not enough to create a bottle bomb. It's still within safe range, and I'm just going to put one in each one. And gotta remember not to do, too many in a bottle, because that will create a bottle bomb. So I have to remember how many I'm doing and try and do a video and remember that and talk. Yeah, I'm not good at multitasking. But they're all in here now. The next thing we'll do is we'll cap them. And you see my capper and all that, so we'll just cap them. Okay, so we have 8 beautifully capped and bottled drinks here. We have one that is a swing top bottle, This is going to be the taster. The swing top bottle will be the taster. I'll put this aside. I'll label it. These others are going into a storage device. And this is good to do because you can have explosions. You can do everything right and it still explode. So glass, there could be some type of microfracture you don't know about. You could have created a microfracture doing the capping. There's a whole host of things that can go wrong when you've done everything perfectly right. So it's always good practice to have them in some type of storage shelter. So welcome back. As you can tell, the mic system was still messed up with this video as well. This part is the tasting. There were some issues with this brew, and I take full ownership of those issues. Mainly it was petulant, which if you don't know what petulant means, it is just barely sparkling. And the reason why it was petulant was the fact that I pulled it too quickly. That's the long and short of everything. I goofed up. And so I was trying to do a bunch of videos, and I said, you know what, this needs to be done. But you can look and see it's crystal clear. It just needed some more fizz to it. Now on the front taste of this, you didn't hear it because the video didn't, the audio never did pick up on it, but it was a bunch of notes coming in all at once, which is kind of unique to brewing. You don't normally get that. And I equate it to having a bunch of children that you love, and they're all running to you, all want to talk to you at one time, and it's that welcoming, loving clatter of a bunch of sounds that are not discordant. It's just the fact that they're all speaking at one time. It's hard for you to decipher, and it can be invigorating, especially if you got loved ones that they're welcoming you. It's a pleasant thing, and so I had those same feelings. These were all pleasant notes. They were just at the same level, and they're all hitting at one time. And so I thought it was kind of interesting that I had those flavors hitting all at one time that were really good. And then after that, then there was this long middle section that was kind of a musky caramel flavor almost. The best way that I can equate it, that it had is like having one of those really creamy caramel candies, but somehow the sugar was taken out of it, or a lot of the sugar was taken out, but it's still sweet. But you had those flavors, but it just wasn't that sweetness. It was still sweet, but not really overly sweet. And that stayed for a while, and then it was just the finish. The smell was what I refer to as a young smell, which if you think of like yeasty bread, and you think of like donuts, that sweet smell of donuts, and then if you open up a bottle of spirits, like like maybe a tequila or something that's really sharp, that real strong alcohol smell, when you mix those three together, that is what most brewers call a young smell. And some people find it off-putting. I don't. This was a fantastic brew. I loved it. I gave it an 8. If it wasn't for the fact that I pulled it too early, it would have been a 9, sparkling. And one of the things that I suggest doing is I've got a Sicer video that's coming out soon, and I'm going to show how to do apples where you got apple flavoring without making it have to age forever, which is a problem with Sicers. And I also mentioned you might want to put some apple pie spice in there, so I'm going to do this video again, or not this video, but this recipe, but I'm not going to do it as a hydromel. I'm actually going to do it as a full strength mead. And so I recommend that you do that. And other than that, that would make it a 10, I think. I think that's going to make it a 10. So that's what I'm going to do. I may or may not do a video, but if you will, go ahead and give this thing a like button, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.